Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even like I got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I can see Dan Lanning sitting in his office, rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, bring it on. You're just giving me juice.
I think you could be the type of team that has guys that excel in certain things. You don't need somebody that's great at everything. You need to be able to put guys in position where they're going to succeed.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Havel.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on, apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's a Schwarbomb. That's a man right there hitting that ball.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome. Hi, atop the Delta Triad, the Crystal Palace, the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport. Fox Sports Eugene, Fox Sports Newport. Welcome to the fastest 60 minutes in sports talk. You are locked into the Danny and Justin radio program. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Twitter at Danny and Justin. Pottus, Danny and Justin. We are going to race through what the weekend was and what the week is in front of us, including recapping our big bets. There was controversy. We settled that up. It was a horrible weekend if you're a Packer fan. We have a new champion who's an old champion in Major League Baseball. Pro football is, almost we're at the midway point almost of the season. Since there are odd number of games, we not necessarily have one cutoff point as they're fighting towards the playoffs. Basketball at the pro level and the collegiate level is kicking into gear. All of that and a Beaver victory as Rob Akey pulls a big one out in the Pac-2 Championship Part 1 against Washington State at Reser Stadium. This is the Danny and Justin radio program. I am Danny Havel. Right over there. He needs a big hug today, folks. So hug your radios wherever you're at or your computers. Hug your screen right now. It's my tag team partner, Justin Grossreiner. We call him Baby J. What a boy.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Thank God for the Beavers. They saved the weekend for me. It was a lost weekend except for the Beavers. Absolutely. No, it was hilarious watching because we were here in the studio. I was with Brian Beban, big Dodgers fan. And so on one side, we have the World Series. It's Game 7. Oh, yeah. Everything's on the line.
Pins and needles.
Exactly. Like everything's led up to this. Yeah. And the other side, we have Oregon State, Washington State, which,
ended up being...
It was a good win for the Beavers.
It was good. It wasn't an entertaining game. It was a slugfest. It was gritty. It was grimy. It was dirty. We're going to have the judge, John Warren, come on to talk about this. I don't know how he's going to turn this into something positive, but Beavers are 2-0 owner Rob Akey. So
you got to be positive, I think, a little bit about it. Well, especially seeing as if every other team that I either follow or root for lost, that sometimes just getting a win, it's kind of just it's nice. You got to just enjoy the little things sometimes. And for the Beavers in this lost season, I think you can just enjoy the fact that you didn't take another loss, and that honestly,
you didn't take it on the chin.
The Washington State Cougars were competitive with Virginia on the road. They were competitive with Ole Miss on the road. Quite frankly, the more Washington State plays, the less I'm impressed with Ole Miss. I can't believe that
they're the next paper lion as far as you're concerned.
I'd have to look at their schedule a little bit more, but I can't believe that team was competitive with Ole Miss. I mean, I'm not saying Washington State was bad, but I mean, we've seen the Beavers this year, and the Beavers defensively were just awesome. I mean, they locked them down. They were getting sacks. I think they had 6 sacks on the game. They had 8 sacks coming.
Actually, I have the time. I have the
line
here.
The numbers there, but they had 8 sacks coming into the game. They had a sack percentage, which is different than number of sacks, but their percentage is like 3% of the plays they're getting a sack.
Based on how many times they're dropping back, how many sacks you get. By the way, this past game, the 10-7 win by Oregon State, the lowest scoring contest that Oregon State wins since 2012 over.
I don't know. Is it Washington State?
No.
Is it the Ducks?
No.
Is it
Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
That was the last. It was a 10-7 win. Oregon State. I don't know what the Wisconsin game was. The win over Wisconsin was the last time the Beavers won in scoring 10 points or less. That was the last time. So it was 13 years ago that happened. So, and again, it's the second win over the Cougs in as many seasons. They won last year. We talked about it. We had Chris King on last week. The 41, much different game, 41-38. Oregon State won last year, 10-7 this year. And I'll just keep saying it. Just with all of this disruption in Corvallis, is Rob Akey making a case that he can inspire a team, take all of the broken parts and all of the good parts, because there are good parts of Oregon State football. Mm-hmm. Let's just say
they've been very competitive with teams that are good.
Right. So, I mean, it's not like there's not talent on that team. We've talked about it. Trent Walker, Anthony Hankerson,
right,
and others.
Well, he's like 5th in the nation in rushing since he's come in. I mean, it's like he's
132 yards. He's got almost 2,000 for the career. That's good for 16th in Oregon State history. And there's a lot of big names on that rushing side of things for Oregon State. You go through the years. Steven Jackson, the Rogers kids, all of that. Jamar Jefferson. Thomas Tyner. It's a big back for them for a couple of years. So Trent Walker, 4 catches, 138 for his career as well. So we'll talk about that with John Warner. Yeah. The judge will be coming up. So
that was enjoyable.
I'm sorry you had a bad week. By the way, there was controversy behind the scenes with our bigger bets with Coquel Casino. Okay, so here's the controversy. Do you want to just go ahead? Do you just want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think we should. I think that it is official.
For transparency.
You are the worst picker out of all of us because you pick games that don't even exist.
No, they do actually play the games. I make you guys think a little bit and do a little research, which none of you did. And the reason I say that,
I think that is clear. That is clear.
Nobody did any kind. Nobody questioned me.
No, you're right.
I went out on the air.
It's
and
on
said,
all of us.
Michigan was playing Minnesota. It was Michigan State playing Minnesota. Now, if it was Michigan playing Minnesota, and the one thing that should have been a key to all of us, because I read the line that said Minnesota was a 3.5-point favorite, and nobody even caught on that. And that's why
I was like, no way that I'm taking Minnesota. Like, you have to take Michigan there.
Right.
And
it wasn't one of those straight up and straight down.
It's so funny because you wouldn't refer. A non-sports fan might say, well, you said Michigan. They would just basically have to, maybe assume that you meant Michigan State. But that's not the case with sports fans. There's a very big difference between Michigan and Michigan State.
Especially this year.
And especially this year. It wasn't one of those games where you could go like, well, we would have maybe picked the same result anyways. Because it really
ended
became
up being
more of
a close game. Didn't it go to overtime? I think it did. But regardless, so I contacted everybody, including you and Goose, before kickoff, and Brad and Mark and others that had chimed in on Bigger Bets, which is our Twitter handle, which you can go there and you don't have to call in on Fridays. You can just give us who you think's going to win.
Yeah, tweet at us.
You can tweet at us. And I made sure everything was corrected. And then pretty much everybody said Minnesota. Which
I'm pretty sure except for me. I think I...
No.
Did I take Minnesota?
No, you said same.
And Michigan State won, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Michigan State didn't win. Minnesota won.
Oh, Minnesota did win.
Yeah, you picked the right one.
All right.
So I went 3-2. Coquel went 3-2. You and Goose went 2-3. Mm-hmm. So that means I picked up a game on both of you. So you and I are now tied.
What's our plus minus?
What do you mean plus minus?
Like we 500? Like where are we?
No, we're down. We're 22-23 on the season.
Okay, so we're minus.
Which is
minus
right
3.
right around where we were at this point last year.
Yeah,
honestly.
And you ended a little over 500 last year.
And I did. I think I was like 5 games over, 6 games over 500 at the end of the year.
It's really not that impressive for any of us.
Wow, dude. You are just a water bucket today. The Danny and Justin radio program live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studio.
Now I'm just miserable.
So Goose went 2-3 as well. So now we are just 1 game behind Goose in the standings. We're going to catch him.
It's a competitive race.
Coquel went 3-2 as well. So but they assumed the worst record coming in. Mm-hmm. So they're now 21 and 24. And congratulations to listener Brad. Brad, you won a 2-night stay at Coquel Casino Resort plus $100 on your player's card. You can't bet on sports. I know you're over 21. And now you're in the drawing as well at the end of December for our Super Bowl suite giveaway. So any listener that beats us weekly, okay, you're automatically entered into the drawing at the end. So not just you win the week that you won, the 2-night stay, you are in a drawing for the Super Bowl suite at Coquel.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome. So, Brad, you're out now. You can play. You can still come on and bet, but you can't win now. So, Coach Mark and Brad, we're giving folks an opportunity here. So, Coach Mark, not Coach, but Brad, you're in. So, there you go. So, we'll do picks this week on Friday as well. Coquel gets to pick the games this week.
I'm intrigued to see what their strategy is.
And then it rotates back around to you.
I'm excited for that. I've done well in my weeks. I think I might be 8-2 on the weeks I've picked games. So I'm excited for that.
All right. Anything
it's good
else?
That I'm excited about something, right, Danny?
It absolutely is, from the energy level that started the show off. And by the way, so let's turn this into something a little bit more positive. And thanks for tuning in, friends, here on a Monday, the Danny Justin radio program. Dylan Thieneman, Ducks are back to work this week. They head to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa. It's going to be a big noon Saturday game. It'll be a 12:30 kick here on the left coast on Saturday, as the Ducks and the Hawkeyes, both coming off of bye weeks, will face off in Big Ten play in an important game for both these teams. Huge game for Oregon in terms of keeping themselves in national relevance for the playoff. We'll talk about that in a minute, because there was a hurricane on Cristobal Island. No tongue-in-cheek there.
I don't know if there's going to be anybody left on that island pretty soon.
I don't know. We'll see how long Goose hangs on to his
I'm
Mario
really
Cristobal.
To see what he has to say about Cristobal Island this week.
But Oregon junior Dylan Thieneman announced as one of the 15 finalists for the 2025 Paycon Jim Thorpe Award, which is presented annually to the nation's most outstanding defensive back. Thieneman, by the way, one of 4 Big Ten players to be selected as a semifinalist. He is the 10th Duck to be named the semifinalist or better for the award. And speaking of the defensive backfield, there was an announcement that came out. I think it broke yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, last night-ish.
Jalil Florence, who's been injured for the last couple of years, and he was a highly coveted recruit, came into the program with a lot of promise. He saw the field for a little bit. He's been trying to work his way back onto the field this year, has been playing more in special teams, and he made the announcement, has decided he's left the program, and he's going to enter the transfer portal, and I believe he'll have 2 years of eligibility left. So we wish him the best, the contribution that he brought to the program and the room. He wished all of his teammates well for the rest of the season, but he'll sit out the rest of the year, and we'll see where he lands. So a guy that was just trying to break through and get back onto the field, and it's tough when you're coming back from injury.
Yeah, I think he was always a guy that it never quite worked out for him. And this season, he was looking at a team that brought in a couple big transfers, Dylan Thieneman and Jaden Kennedy, who have come in and played right away.
And he came in, and he...
Well, and then you have the freshmen. Yeah, Brandon Finney Jr., Aaron Flowers is another young guy. You mentioned Naeem Offer. Trey McNutt was supposed to basically be here. So, I mean, it's a room that right now it's very young, and there's just not a lot of opportunity for playing time going forward. So if he wants to make a significant contribution to a team, which I'm sure he does, then it does seem to make more sense for him to move on and go somewhere else. And the Ducks are going to be fine, too.
They are. And that's the state of the game as it is now, which is a kid who is very talented and can't find the reps on the field. It's just like, okay, I can go somewhere else, whether it's a lateral move, whether he might think it's a move up, or even stepping down a bit, because we've seen players that have left Oregon go to like the San Diego States or the San Jose States and such. I'm not saying they're a lesser program, but in terms of the level of Power 5 conference, Power 4 conference, it's a little different. And getting reps, getting on the field is understand the business of college football, or the business of all college sports now, is I want to get to the next level. I want to get to the pros. And if you're not getting on the field, you don't have an opportunity to lay tape down for scouts to see you.
Right, exactly. And this isn't the kind of case where you have guys that are just super happy to be a backup on a good team, and making a little bit of money doing that. Like, they want to get out there and they want to play. And so that's the sort of balance that college football has, and what you have to do with your roster as well, because you have to basically have guys that where it makes sense for them to, hey, like Dante Moore, it made sense for him not to play for a year. Like, they have to make that decision to say, hey, I'm not going to play this year.
That was strategic.
Exactly. 2 years from now, I'll be able to play, or a year from now, I'll be able to play.
Or earn the spot. So I think that's an important distinction, because Dan Lanning's program has been, and I think there are other programs that are like this, but this is the one that's closest to us. That's what we're going to talk about, is I truly believe, and this is a perfect example of this, it doesn't matter what the star is, what your star rating is, or if you're transferring in. Mekhi Hughes is another perfect example, highly touted coming out of Tulane in the running back room, and he's transferring out. He's going to be in the portal because he did not win the job. Just because you have that next to your name doesn't automatically give you, hey, you know what? Here you go.
Right.
And I think there's a, how would I say that? I think there is a thought process that if a highly touted transfer is coming into a program, and I'll use Bo Nix as an example, that everyone thought, well, he's just the anointed one, that he's going to go ahead and get the job. Now, Bo Nix won the job here at Oregon. Justin Herbert won his job at Oregon. Dylan Gabriel won his job at Oregon. And if you don't win it in the room and in the practice field, you're not going to see the field if you're under a Dan Lanning coach team.
Yeah. Well, I might make the argument that he was not so heralded when he came here. Maybe by
he was
more
a 4-star though.
He was a 4-star transfer, I think, still. And he was a 5-star recruit, I believe, overall. But I'm just thinking about Bo's place coming here.
You're talking about Bo. I'm talking about Jaleel. So go ahead.
No, I'm talking about Bo.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just interesting.
But he was a starter in the SEC.
I know. It just was. Maybe I'm thinking about the perception of the fan base, because everybody, remember, it was Ty time. Everybody thought that it was going to be Ty Thompson, and then they bring in Bo Nix, and Bo Nix had this perception of being this like kind of failed SEC quarterback. And then, obviously, the story has written itself.
And 2 years under Bo were highly successful.
Of course. I'm not saying... But the point is that you basically had this 4-star Ty Thompson who everybody thought was going to be the future. By the way, he's not even playing quarterback anymore for...
Isn't that crazy?
I think it's North Texas,
and
maybe?
I think he's a tight end now.
He's a tight end now, yeah. So that was the guy that you were looking at.
How crazy
I know.
is that?
So you just never know. And you had Bo Nix, who basically, the whole joke was that he's going to be the dark horse for the Heisman this year. And people said that in jest. But then the 2 years at Oregon, he was absolutely not even a dark horse. He was at one point.
But you understand my point, though, is
yes,
that
for
some
a program like
programs,
Oregon, it means a lot less when you have a situation like this, and you have a situation like Mekhi Hughes, who to me it's still kind of shocking that he didn't earn that job. You were given the opportunity because of what you've done until this point. But you still
on the field,
you
see it with Jordan Davidson. He is the freshman, the true freshman. You
and
see
Hill
why,
and Noah Whittington and
Jaden Lamar, who's been hurt a little bit, but
they
even the beginning
all
of the field
looked better. It wasn't that you were just like going, well, Mekhi Hughes gets on the field and he explodes. It's just like, no, he didn't look better than any of those guys.
And
so
Noah Whittington came back with just a vengeance after being injured last year.
Right.
And we all were expecting that from Noah Whittington, but we didn't know if we were going to get that from Noah Whittington.
Right. Well, and that just also goes to show, too, how much health plays a factor in how well players play. And that's something from one year to the next. You can have a player that just wasn't healthy on the previous season, and you kind of get a perception of them as a player, but then they come back and they're fully healthy. You see what they really are.
We'll talk Oregon women's basketball in the last segment because they are playing their first game that counts. By the way, congratulations to the Oregon men's and women's cross-country teams. They swept the Big Ten cross-country championships back out in East Lansing, Michigan. The women of Oregon successfully defend their Big Ten title from a season ago. The men win their first conference title in cross-country since 2008. So congratulations there. When we come back, we'll talk Oregon State, Washington State. Yeah, we're going to talk about it here on the program. We're going to have the judge, John Warren, coming up next on the Danny and Justin radio program here for a Monday. I have the mayor of Rip City, Travis Demers, on the program tomorrow. We'll talk Portland Trailblazers. Also, our first visit with the NAIA's Bushnell University men's basketball coach, Eddie Alexander, on the program. We'll have packed show tomorrow, packed show all week as we get ready for Iowa and Oregon as well. It'll be under the bright sunlight in Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa. Way back in the day, it was, oh my gosh, Richie Valens. It was Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper. That was one of the places they would go. It was, I think, it was one of the last spots.
Oh,
Iowa City, Iowa. So,
well, that's sad.
Well, I didn't want to bring the show down or anything like that.
Well,
But that's the way it is. Okay, let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. Let's talk about something a little bit more positive as we bring in the judge. KEJO Radio, the expert, our guy, John Warren, on the Oregon Man Clinics hotline at 541-343-5673. Your Honor, it was a positive weekend, but a slugfest for the Beavs as they eke out one half of the Pac-2 championship over Washington State, a 10-7 win. So what was the biggest thing you took away from that game?
Boy, there's a lot. I want to ask a quick question, and
Sure.
then I will answer that question.
Okay.
And that is, does the kid there know that that's the day the music died when that plane went down?
No, I did
Or
not
do you
know
have to
that.
educate?
Thank you very much, Your
I
Honor.
know what you're referring to, the
I'm
song,
glad.
their
You know,
lyric.
he has not even watched Field of Dreams. So I'm,
Oh.
yeah, sorry.
I'm
but,
just a disappointment
yeah,
with this kind
the
of
day
stuff.
the
I'm
music
sorry.
died. Yeah, I mean, the big bat was a great. And by the way, Gary Busey as Buddy Holly was
I have
probably
seen
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
one of the best portrayals, right?
I watched that.
Okay.
Of course. And Justin, of course, the impetus for the song American Pie by Don McLean.
Right.
Tell me you've heard of that
Of course.
Thank God.
one. Okay.
Thank goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Yeah. I got the lyric. Yeah.
So the biggest takeaway, then, that's a good question. Defense really solid.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that all of this should have happened from day one, that the players were there, that the system was there. And to me, it just shows that, I don't know, there was something going on with maybe Trent Bray was just spread a little too thin, because there isn't anything magical that's happening, but they're putting it together and look pretty good doing it. The defense was fantastic. Now, Jabari Johnson is better, or at least I should think he should be in there instead of Malik Murphy. I just think you just go the rest of the way with Jabari. But Jabari's not the quarterback of the future, and we saw that when he struggled to get any passing yards before he got hurt. He ended up leaving, and the report is that he actually will be practicing this week and could be available for this Saturday to go. So really, the offense, there was no offense, but the defense was tremendous. And there was no Washington State offense because Oregon State's defense was good. And it was a slugfest. Two prize fighters, just one punch after another.
What's interesting is OSU had lost 18 straight, which is not surprising when you score 10 points or less. I mean, college football, especially in this day and age, there's a lot more offense that gets displayed on the field. Oregon State's second win in as many seasons against the Cougars. Jaheim Patterson intercepts 2 passes, 6 sacks, which was a season high. So you touched on it, John, defensively. So is this now the elevated standard that Oregon State should rise to for the rest of the season, is lead in with the defense first?
I think so. I mean, they have the running game that's as good as anybody, but they just don't have the passing game. And, that showed on Saturday. So, yeah, they're going to have to set the tone with their defense. I don't think there's going to be any issue at all on Saturday night. Sam Houston is terrible. They're terrible, and they've got a lot of internal problems, and they're a mess. So I think the Beavers will have their way with them, no matter who's quarterback, but because of the running game. So, yeah, I think it'll have to start with the defense and relying a lot on the running game.
And my theory in the first half of this game was the fact that because Jabari Johnson was in and they were doing a lot of the read option, that strong side was a little bit more open because the defense had to protect Jabari Johnson on that weak side. Anthony Hankerson had a good second half as well after Jabari Johnson was out of that game as well, so that maybe not doesn't lend to that theory necessarily. But Hankerson had a great day, and he hasn't always had great days, despite the fact that we know that he's a very good running back. So, in your opinion, why did he have such a good game against Washington State?
Well, the Beaver line was healthier than they were even a couple of weeks ago. The bye came at a perfect time, so they could get shored up with their line. Hankerson I don't know, he found holes. He's a great running back if there's space. I'm on my post-game call-in show. I said this, so this is not breaking anything, but I'm still a Cornell Hatcher guy. I think he's got more potential because he's quicker. He slices through there if there is no hole. And he got a couple of carries and looked great for like 4 carries.
Right.
That was it. And the rest is Hankerson. Now, Hankerson has the reputation. He's a bruiser, but he's not a slice guy. He's not a Barry Sanders, stop and go and move and find things. He's kind of blast through there, and if there's a hole, great. Now, he's shorter in stature. He will blow over guys, but he doesn't necessarily blow around them, except he did have he had a couple good runs where he slid down the line and found the opening and busted free. So, that's a great question. Why did he do so well? 204 2 weeks ago, 154 on Saturday. And I think a lot of it has to do with he's very good, and the line was feeling a little bit better.
And obviously the offense just overall wasn't very successful, but I felt like that first drive, maybe, there was more of an identity to the team. Like, you could see that sort of like, okay, this is going to be an RPO here, and then they're going to have a little... Is that what you saw, too?
Right. It is, and I was telling Mike today on our show, I'm like, that first drive was really impressive until it stalled.
Right.
But they got 3 consecutive first downs, and when they didn't get the first down, I thought, well, they'll move the ball today. They just, came up short on that last series. After, 3 straight first downs, and it's like, okay, but that didn't happen. It became really a puncher's deal with the two defenses. But I'm not sure. I like the play calling a lot better now in the last 2 weeks, and I think there were some issues. It's funny, in this game, not so much the last game where they poured it on and defeated Lafayette, but in this game against a good Washington State team, first of all, the talent level is so much better than what we saw last week and what we'll see this week. I mean, Washington State, a team that went down to Ole Miss and almost beat them, almost won at Virginia.
Yep.
I mean, this is a good program and a good team, and the Beavers looked their best, I think, all year, except for offensively in the passing game. There just wasn't anything in the passing game, but I don't remember your question, but yeah.
I didn't really ask one. I asked if you saw the same thing I saw in that first. I mean, you saw a little bit more of the identity. Yeah, and you agreed.
The judge, John Warren, joining us. He's got his own show with the voice of the Beavers, Mike Parker. It's called The Joe Beaver Show. You can listen to it from 11 to 1 on 1240 Joe Radio up there in the Corvallis, Albany market. He joins us on the Danny and Justin radio program. Oregon State's rushing attack, 134 yards, 25 attempts. Hankerson churned out 39 yards on the ground on the way to that end zone in the Beavers' lone touchdown drive. They had just a field goal in the first half, and it was actually the lead that they had and then gave up. Cougars responded with a touchdown, their only touchdown of the game, their only points of the game, making it 7-3 as the half wound down. So I guess a question for you, Judge, is going to be with Jimmy Rogers and Washington State. You get to see these guys again in the last game of the season, which is actually going to be for the Pac-12 championship, because this one was, quote-unquote, a non-conference game, which I find really funny. I'm doing air quotes in the air right now when I said that. How disappointing must it be for Washington State, who came in, as you just stated, and as we talked about, with very close losses to two teams in the top 20 on the road, which is incredibly tough to do, and then they come back and take care of a home game in a lesser program, but let's just say what it is. And then they had, it seemed like, all of the momentum going into this game, and Oregon State was a brick wall.
Yeah, and I know that they kind of needed this one because they can still be bowl eligible.
Right.
They're 4-5 now. They need 2 wins, and they only have 3 games left. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I don't think it's really that
James Madison
with
on
Oregon
the road.
State being one of those games.
Yeah, James
Yeah,
Madison on the
well,
road. And then that's not going to be an easy game, by the way.
And then they play Louisiana Tech at home.
And then at La Tech at home, and then finish off with Oregon State at home. So yeah, they got to win. They got to win 2 out of those last 3 games.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy. And I know that they really wanted this one last week. I don't know how much they thought they would get it because of where Oregon State was. I know a lot of teams, when you look at a 1-7 team or an 0-8 team, you go, well, that's going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
I can confidently say that over this Sam Houston State team because I think they're the worst team in the country. And I just read an article today that they have all kinds of problems going on. Plus, aren't they Are they FCS? No, they're not FCS.
No, they're not. But,
they were. They're up from FCS.
Right. But Judge, I mean, so the thing the narrative we were talking about coming into this, and when we talked to the folks from Washington State about this game, was that how concerned would they have been? And Chris King, who was on our program, I said, how much do you want to get a wounded, angry beaver in a corner because they're playing with house money? And it's like our season's already been lost. We've got an interim head coach. We've got all these off-field problems as well. You want to talk about a mess, and you've been covering it, day in and day out and listening to the fan base. But now, can't this kind of be a rallying cry now for Oregon State for the rest of the season under the interim head coach, Rob Akey?
Yeah, and the one thing that he exudes is enthusiasm. I mean, he's got it in spades.
Yeah.
When he answers questions, he goes on and on and on, and it's all about enthusiasm. You could see that with the players interacting with him, on the sideline, especially after the game when they won. There's hugs and there's this and that. And, we had a guy who played for him defensively at Washington State years ago who just absolutely said, I would go to run through a wall for that guy. And so he has that. He has the players' joy back. And when you play with joy and looseness, then you become even more dangerous because you're not tight. You're loose, and things tend to work out better. So that's where he has them, and that's what's dangerous about it. Now, the Beavers will have this game this week. Then they go to Tulsa on the road. Also, not a very good team, but I think much better. Plus, it'll be at their place than Sam Houston. That'll be a challenge. And by the way, for anybody listening, the announced start time for that is 10 a.m. our time.
Wow.
Kickoff, 10 a.m. our time, a week from Saturday. But the Beavers don't care. They just want to finish strong, finish happy, maybe retain some really crucial guys.
Mm-hmm.
We did ask Rob Akey if he wanted the job last week, and he said pretty much yes. And so he's auditioning. The players are auditioning for maybe a different team, but they're auditioning nonetheless. And right now, it's kind of I don't know what the term would be, but it's all good. Everyone's happy, if you can say that when you're 2-7.
Right. So I mean,
sense.
Judge, and we're with John Warren from KJO Radio up in the Valley, a little bit up from us in the Albany Corvallis market. He joins us. He's plugged into the Beaver program. He's been a recurring guest on this program, and we appreciate his time. And thanks for tuning in wherever you're at in Eugene and Newport as we talk Beaver football. So I want to throw it back to Justin. He's got a couple of good questions for you. I have a very easy question for you. Is it realistic in Beaver Nation? Would they line up with Rob Akey being your permanent? Not anything's permanent in this world. The guy who gets named next to lead this program. Yeah. See, and that's exactly.
I can't speak for the fan base, but on our show there is already some. Hey, I like this guy.
Yep.
I mean, but here's the thing, though, and we talked about this as the change was being made and he was being named. I said, Corey Hall. Corey Hall was a defensive secondary coach for the Beavers under Gary Anderson. When Gary quit, they needed a coach fast. They went to Corey Hall. Well, he's young and he can speak a little bit better to the players, and he rallied them. And he rallied the team in the last, 2 or 3 games, beat Colorado, and everybody was jumping on the Corey Hall bandwagon to be the next coach. But I think it was Scott Barnes back then. He said, no, now hold on. Let's just do this right. And then they ended up getting Jonathan Smith, who, whether you love him or hate him, Beaver fan, he was one of the better coaches ever. Turned that program around, and he did it incrementally, slowly, and he built a good foundation. He bailed, and that made everybody mad, but you can't take away the fact he was a great coach at Oregon State historically. But you have to be careful. Everybody, and all the places that are opening up, and boy, there seems to be a ton of them.
Yeah.
Somebody was just fired recently.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze at Auburn just was let go this past weekend. Yeah.
Right. You got to be careful to not get too excited about an interim, because that's going to be a natural thing. The players will rally. Things will change. And yet sometimes you can go forward with the person who is the interim. In Rob Akey's case, he was a head coach already, but he didn't have a good record at all when he was a head coach. So you have to be careful with the emotion that's involved. And the one thing that Scott Barnes said at the very beginning is it's a long runway, meaning they have plenty of time to take all the resumes, and they'll even wait till the end of the season where coaches are free to try out, free to say, I would like that job. And they're not until their season is over with, whether it's a coordinator or a head coach. And so they're going to take their time well into December. And again, right now it's a feel-good thing, but you be careful and you do your due diligence.
Well, and isn't it also a little bit too hard to get excited about a player like Jaheim Patterson having a couple interceptions, because you have that worry of like, well, is Jaheim Patterson
stay around?
Yeah, is he going to be on the team? Because maybe another team looks at that and says, well, like we want Jaheim Patterson on our team. And like guys like Cornell Hatcher, like it seems like it's a weird spot right now, because it's hard to get excited about what's going on in the field because you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Well, actually, you know what? Whether or not you're having a bad year and an interim coach has got you excited and certain guys are playing well, it doesn't matter. In this day and age, we're down to mercenaries. These players are mercenaries now.
Yeah.
You lose 30, you gain 30. And the 30 that come in are mercenaries, okay? And they get paid, and then they get, if they get better, they move on. Cornell Hatcher, you brought him up. This is why I'm thinking you've got to play this guy more, because he has two relatives, Armand Hatcher, and I don't remember the other one, who are, one of them is his father, right? His uncle, I can't remember. Anyway, he wanted to be a Beaver since he was a kid.
Yeah.
Because of the legacy issues. Now he is a Beaver. He's really good. And you want to keep this guy because in his brain, in his mind, in his heart, he wants to be a Beaver. You don't want to lose anybody who wants to be a Beaver, who is good. So even a guy like that, if he doesn't get any carries, he could be like, well, I'd like to go somewhere else where I can get some more carries. Mm-hmm. So they got to be careful with him on that respect. But with all the other players that are, looking good and shining, that's going to be true on every team in the country every single year. And the lower division teams are going to get poached by the upper teams. There's always going to be somebody bigger. And when you get to all the blue bloods, they'll poach from each other. And there's just no way around it. And I hate it.
Well, I agree with you. And by the way, when you said mercenary, you know who the first person came up into my mind when it relates to Oregon State? Can you fill in the blank for me, John? Dennis Erickson.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis Erickson built his career in the collegiate ranks by bringing in what we called bandits, guys that would come in, maybe questionable character guys, but incredibly talented football players. And he had one of the most amazing runs both at Washington State and at Oregon State in his career. Am I wrong?
No, except for the questionable character thing. I don't know about that. But the guys coming in, there's no arguing that Chad Johnson came in, and I don't even know how much class he went to.
Wow.
So he was there for football and then to move on. That's definitely true. It's interesting you bring him up, though, because that's a different world, and yet it's kind of the same.
It is.
But it was a different world 25 years ago. Same idea, but it was more like a one or two guy thing. Now they're bringing in 25 and 30 players.
Yeah. Well, a lot to talk about, a lot to consume. You've got Sam Houston coming in on Saturday night. It's going to be a 7 p.m. kick at Reser Stadium, last home game, and then back out on the road for, you said, Tulsa and then
Tulsa,
and Washington State. Washington State Part 2.
And then actually there's a bye in there too, another bye.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. All right. Judge, thanks so much for your time. You do a great job up there, and always love having you on the program. Great information, great insight.
Please, get the kid to get caught up on
I
it.
will do my best.
I am trying, John. All right, buddy. Say hi to Mike for us. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there he goes, the judge, John Warren from KJO Radio. See?
I understand. I got my marching orders.
I
need like a list.
The Buddy Holly story. I could write you out a list.
I've seen the Buddy Holly, the Buddy Holly story.
Yeah. But
That's a great movie.
It was a great movie. Gary Busey, I mean, he's a weird dude, but that was a great role for him.
Yes.
Perfect
Correct.
role for him. All right. We come back. We'll talk Oregon women's basketball. They unveil, finally, the season, the 53rd season of Duck Women's Hoop. Tonight, we'll talk about West Georgia, and we'll also, we'll do some other stuff as well. When Danny and Justin radio program concludes here for a Monday. Once again, our big thanks to the judge, John Warren, for hopping in, talking Oregon State, 10-7 win over Washington State. That's a big win for Oregon State. It would have been much bigger if that would have made Oregon State like 4-5 on the year.
Well, what Brian and I were talking about it after on our post game is just like if you would have won one of those games early in the season, you could have won. Easily could have won.
Fresno State game was the
Even
tipping
Houston.
point, and Houston was a tipping point. There were so many
I think
tipping
Houston
points in the
was.
season.
You're right. I think the first tipping point was that Fresno State game, but then the Houston game was where I felt like, like this might be a rough season.
Yeah, and it ended up being that way. Lost your head coach, off-field stuff with Blueprint Sports, unrest.
The rowing coach incident.
Suits, lawsuits. It's just it's a mess right now. So they'll get it figured out. I mean,
but for a week, we can talk about how they won.
Exactly. Even though it was a slugfest, 10-7.
Well, and it's against a team that you're going to face going forward, and they're going to remember that.
Yeah. So
because now it's been 2 in a row, and except for the fact that you're going to play them another time this season. So if you can win that
2 in a row,
maybe 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can win.
Yeah, and they're not
beat them last year, right?
Yeah, 41-38.
Yeah.
So and they're not buddies.
They are not
As
buddies.
Jake Dickert said last year, they're not
great quote
buddies. That is a
they
great
kind
quote.
of are though.
They have to be. They're joined at the hip in the Pac-12, the new Pac-12. Yeah. Oregon women's basketball tonight. If you don't have anything else to do, or even if you do, because the Monday night matchup is not awesome. So it's Dallas and Atlanta, I think. Blech, meh.
I think Atlanta played yesterday.
No, okay. Well, then who is this? Dallas and somebody. Dallas and Tampa Bay.
It could be.
You look it up. All right, we'll figure it out here in 2 seconds. West Georgia for the Oregon women's basketball.
It's worse than that. It's Dallas and Arizona.
Sorry, that is not must-watch TV.
With Jacoby Brissett starting for the Cardinals.
All right, so we hope to have a full house at MKA tonight for Oregon women's basketball under head coach Kelly Graves in his 12th season, our good friend, the Big Kahuna. 6 p.m. tonight at Matt Knight Arena. West Georgia comes into town. Ducks return 3 regular starters among 9 other letter winners from last season. Sarah Bahum, Janiah Williams. Those are a couple of the transfers with the freshman guards that I just mentioned. This year's version of the Ducks put on a fast-paced display with a 113-36 exhibition win over Western Oregon. 5 players were in double digits, 28 by Sarah Rambis, just over 15 minutes of action. Oregon is seeking its 13th straight opening game victory, going all the way back to the 2013-2014 season. It's crazy. They have won 12 in a row now, trying to go for 13. Ducks have won 22 of their last 23 season openers, are 11-0 in the season opening game under Graves.
Feeling good about this one.
Yeah. So after tonight, just to get you the schedule, because the Ducks are home for almost the whole balance of November.
Montana on the 8th.
Grand Canyon on the 11th. Army on the 16th.
And then they travel out to Pullman.
Right. Washington State on the 19th. And then they're back home against Utah State on the 23rd. And then they go to play that Hoop Fest Women's Challenge, St. Mary's and Old Dominion. That'll be in Frisco, Texas.
And I know Coach Graves was hoping for a little bit more competition especially before the
he
season.
said that. Yep, they're going
He
to play
said that to
Stanford
us.
as well.
They're going to play some good games, I think. I like the schedule, and I'm really interested to see how they play in terms of their style because we're expecting them to run a lot more. And I'm just thinking about
Getting
this.
back to the style that Coach Graves wants to play.
Well, thinking about it, think about that 2020 team. You had the best, player
Breaking
in
my
the
heart.
world.
You
in
break
terms
at my
of
heart
Sabrina.
with that 2020
But also in terms of the style of players you had. You had two guards that could really handle the ball. I think you have two guards that can really handle the ball, if not more, for this team. And then in that forward spot, that post spot, like the last few years, and even maybe since that team, you've had a Sedona Prince. You've had a Filipina Che. You've had like a real 6'7" post. And that's not somebody that you're going to run with on every single possession. That's something they did do in those 2020, that sort of era, that previous era.
Right.
I think you can get back to that. And I think that is kind of getting back to what you're saying is that's a style that Coach Graves wants to play.
And we talked to him about this, it was last weekend on the program?
Last Wednesday, I believe.
And the style, he loves this team. I mean, he loved last year's team, too. And they made it into the second round of the postseason. They upset the 7 seed back on the East Coast and made themselves to the second round when they did not disappoint last year.
He said that they
overachieved in just a touch.
Yeah, I think he said that they got everything out of what he expected. I think he said maybe they could have gotten to that next round, but that pretty much like they
cannot be displeased.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was a big team as
and
well.
with
for getting that
9
program
kids
turned
coming
around.
back, and that's a credit to his coaching staff and the school here. That many players off of a successful team said, "I'm coming back." That there was, and then you add in an Avery Kane from UCLA, which was the national championship team. You add in players that are 4- and 5-star recruits, and we just talked about it on the football side of things. 4- and 5-star is just a number next to you.
Right.
It's about what you're going to do on the floor, how you're going to contribute, how you're going to be
Well,
a
how you
teammate,
fit, too.
and how you fit.
Yeah, I
into
think
a
that's
team.
it's so like it shouldn't be hard sometimes. Sometimes other players make
And
your
sometimes
life
you
easier.
force it too much.
Exactly, but that's a lot of time. That's a fit thing because if you're forcing it because it's not naturally kind of working, and so I'm excited to see how it all kind of naturally works for this team because I think that one of the biggest problems they're going to have is figuring out how to make this rotation get a little bit smaller. And of course, there's injuries, and you're never going to be able to just say everybody's going to be healthy. So I think it's going to be fascinating. I think this is a fascinating team. I'm expecting big things from this team, and there's not a lot of hype going into it around like the nation or anything like that. But I think they might make some noise.
The second year in the Big Ten is going to be interesting as well because of the way the schedule lays out. You don't get to play everybody twice. There's just not enough games in the conference season to do that. So you're going to play several teams. I think everybody on the West Coast in that side of it.
Do we ever think about these things ever?
I do.
I mean, I'm just saying it's just ridiculous.
Doesn't
it kind of seem like like maybe this isn't like working very well if you can't play every team in your conference every year. You know what I mean?
Well, but in
sorry to
football,
distract you.
No. But I mean, it goes to the football conversation where Oregon football doesn't play Michigan this year, and that could be a difference in terms of who's going to have a better strength of schedule and a quality win. Now, Oregon's got USC and Washington coming up still, so they've got 2 really good, and Iowa. The balance of this schedule, you take Minnesota out of the mix, who is trying to punch up, is going to be interesting for Oregon down the stretch. But the reason I say it in basketball is that you will play everybody at least once, but there are some teams that might have a better RPI or better strength of schedule against you that you'd want to play a second time, that you don't have the opportunity to do that. And that happened to the basketball teams last year, both of them.
Well, don't you want as many like quad 1 wins as possible?
That
and
was the
as
whole
few
thing we were
those
talking
other,
about. Do you know how much time we talked
possible?
about in the last 3 weeks of the season? Quad 1, quad 2, quad 3 wins?
No, I agree.
Ugh.
Oh, a joke!
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
So this is a hangover from Halloween.
Okay.
By the way, did you have a nice Halloween? I didn't even ask you about it. Yeah, you just hung out. You were here,
I was
weren't
here.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't the skeleton go to the party?
I don't know.
Because he had no body to go with.
Yeah, well,
It just
not
bones.
anymore.
No, not anymore. All right, tomorrow on the program, a twofer for you. Once again, we're going to have the voice of the Blazers, Travis Demers, joining us for a regular weekly check-in. Nice win for the Blazers the other night against Denver.
Hey,
It was
they're
a
looking
great
good.
win. Yeah, so we'll talk to the mayor. Also talk to Eddie Alexander from Bushnell University of men's basketball head coach. For Baby J, I'm Danny. Put a smile on your face. Someone else's. They deserve it. So do you. God bless. Peace. Thanks for listening. I already said peace. Peace.